Hello, boys and girls. How are you today? This is the Time Brigade, and I am Brigadier Sushil Basin coming to you with the third module of time management for students.
It's time brigade. Time brigade. It's time brigade. Join the time brigade.
Here we are now getting ready, getting closer to the exam, and understanding how are we going to prepare for the exams. How are we going to organize our studies throughout the year? And in this particular case, I'm taking a random example of 10 weeks, which I think is generally the time available for our exams this year. So if you have 10 weeks left, and if you don't have 10 weeks left, you have to extrapolate whatever I'm telling you accordingly. This module is a very important module because many of the things that you really wanted to know are coming in this module now. And therefore, let's get to the point straight away. First of all, by now, we have already done some spade work. We did something about making myself ready to be that person who wants to achieve a goal, clear my niche, clear my passion, and be all set to achieve a goal that I've set for myself. I put my marks on my wall or my mirror where I see it every day. I've got my goal clear. I know the number of marks I'm going to get, and I am now all prepared. Then I also talked about identifying the subjects, your weak subjects, strong subjects, trying to work out which subject requires how much of effort, translating that into the number of hours you want to devote to a subject, and then around that, working out your strategy, working out your time plan of preparing for your exams. Now, when we come to module 3, let's start with the structure. Okay, structure. Now, the first thing is you have to find out which system suits your study style. Okay. Now this you'll have to go to Google and find out. There are various things about your styles, your learning styles. There are different types. Some people learn visually. Some people learn uh, in by audios. So you could be doing more of listening to podcasts, listening to audios. There are some people who like to read. There are some people who like to watch videos. There are some people who like to learn from actions. They do experiments. They do something. Okay. There are some people who like to walk and read. And that's generally mugging up. And I would strongly recommend don't do that, because what you do by rote method is that you will be temporarily preparing yourself and vomiting it out on the exam, and then you'll forget it. You may get good marks, but that is going to not have a long term effect. So I always say never, never, never study for an exam, study for life. Make sure that the knowledge you're gaining now stays embedded permanently into your subconscious mind and your memory, and you can use it whenever you want. Now, I did mention that you work out your total time in a year, in a day, whether it's 10 hours, 12 hours, 14 hours, whatever you decide. And now, how you do that is that out of 24 hours, firstly, you say, what is my time available? Time available is that out of 24 hours, say how many hours do you want to sleep minimum? Okay. Normally, I would suggest anything between 6 to 8 hours, preferably six. But if you think you can't sleep less than 6 hours, maybe seven. Eight is luxury, I think, in exams or even otherwise. Okay. But then take your chance. I'm not going to come on your style. So the number of hours you want to sleep, the number of hours you have to attend your classes if your schools are still on, and you'll also know that there'll be some time when you get preparatory holidays. So cater for that. That means it'll not be uniform that you have 16 hours available every day. Okay. So you take out, so now it could be 16, later on it could become 18, or now it could be 14 if you're doing 4 or 5 hours of online studies or your schools open up, whatever be the case. But just keep deducting what time is not available to you for your private study, because what you're going to do in school is studies, but that is in addition. So we are not talking of that. We're talking of your homework, your home study in preparing for the exam. Right. Right. So now You work out your time for your meals and your daily routine. You're having a bath and this and that, whatever. Your exercise, your rituals, your entertainment, your social media, your sports, your friends. All this will continue. You will not bring anything to a stop. I've always told parents, let children do everything, but do it. You may do it truncated. If you were spending 2 hours in games, spend half an hour. But do play games, do exercise, do prime yourself in the morning. Okay, do that because your body needs it. Your body needs it, your mind needs it. You need to be energized. Now, divide the time that is available to you to the subjects you need to study according to the formula or according to the method I explained to you in module 2. Now, allot time to each subject. Allot time to each subject you need to study. And it should not be equal. As I said, it's not that you're going to say, okay, if I have 700 hours, I divide by 7 subjects, so 100 hours per subject. No, it doesn't work like that. Some subjects will require more time according to how good you are at them. Some subjects may have lesser syllabus. Whatever way, please work out very practically how many hours would you like to devote to each subject. Keep a little cushion, remember that. Now, if you have, as I said, 5 to 7 subjects, all subjects, you want to study all subjects a day, you want to study only 3 subjects today and 2 subjects tomorrow, you want to study 1 subject a day. So Monday only physics, Tuesday only maths, Thursday, Wednesday only English. Will that work? No, it doesn't work. So decide how you're going to balance it out. So I would suggest normally one good way is all subjects every day. 2 hours of this, 1 hour of this, 1.5 hours of this, half an hour of this, depending on your time that you want to devote to each subject. But you have a variety. And like in a school timetable also, you have of different subjects, so they add variety to your studying. So similarly here also, see that after a subject you're very which is tough for you. For example, for me it was chemistry. So after you've done chemistry, you want something light. So let's say you love history, you love geography, so you do a tough subject, then do that. Then come to a language which is not going to be so tough, and things like that. So work out a variety, balance them out, right? And then go to the next one, and that is now studying technique. So I'm going to start from a premise that, let's say you decided to give 2 hours to a particular subject. And I'm going to now tell you something which is called a Pomodoro technique. Now, what does this mean? So Pomodoro is an Italian word for a tomato. And when this technique was, it came into, the name was given to it, that there used to be a tomato looking timer. So you just did winding of that. It was not like a mobile phone timer. And you put it on, and mechanically it would keep moving up and come down to 0 and ring a bell. So you set it to 25 minutes. So what I'm going to be talking, it's also called working by chunks, or it is called by Pomodoro. One chunk or one Pomodoro is normally half an hour. So what you do is, if you have got 2 hours, that means you got 4 Pomodoros or four chunks. You study for 25 minutes with everything, every possible distraction. No visitors, no friends, no TV, no phone, no internet. Everything is off. And you have your phone on, preferably an aeroplane mode, or if not that, at least on silence and not on buzzer, because that'll distract you. And the only thing you do is put an alarm or put a timer which has an alarm at the end of 25 minutes. 25 minutes you do nothing but that subject. Nothing but that subject. Don't even let another thought come into your mind. You're only going to be concentrating on that subject. 5 minutes, you take a break. And this is to have a glass of water, maybe to go to the washroom or whatever, something like that, and nothing more. Okay. You're still not going to look at your WhatsApp. You're not going to go into your Facebook. Nothing like that. Even to adults, I say, avoid doing that. But if you are in a job where you have to look up, just keep just flipping and see if there's something urgent. So I do that. If I find something very urgent in that 5 minutes, I will ring up or message my team. Somebody will take care of that. But I will not answer it. That's not the time to answer. That's just time to see that is there something critical that you can't help. But don't get into solving that problem, others will be distracted. Right. Now you are taking a 5 minutes break every half an hour. And after 2 hours, which is four Pomodoros or four chunks, you take a half an hour's break or 15 minutes break, depending on what is good for you. So anything from 15 to 30 minutes break, and then start your second Pomodoro. Then you take your lunch break, which is a long break. And then after lunch, you come back at 2 o'clock, 2:30. And then from 2:30 to 5:30, you are doing another 2 or 3 Pomodoros at a time. This way, if you follow the routine, you are going to study in a very systematic way where your brain will optimize the learnings and will lead you to the best optimum marks that you can get with your proper investment of time. All right. So this is the way we do the Pomodoro technique. Now, there are 5 steps in this Pomodoro, and let me go through them. One is that you decide on the subject to be studied. So first is that you say, okay, in the morning, I'm going to study this. The subject you want to study, you decide on that, and then set the timer to 25 minutes on your mobile phone. As I said, switch off everything possible and just concentrate on that and understand what is concentration. What is focus and what is concentration? Focus is eliminating options. So, okay, if I focus is that this is physics. So physics is focus. But concentration is how much of deep attention I'm going to give to physics, which is no distraction. So you have to be focused and you have to have concentration. And there are some exercises which you can go to Google and find out. For example, one is this, that you hold your, 2 thumbs like this, and then keep looking at this thumb, let's say the left thumb, and move the right thumb to the right without turning your eyes. Your eyeballs don't have to be turning, and now I can not see the thumb anymore. So now bring it back and then do this way. So this is one way of, just before you start with your first Pomodoro, it brings your attention there. There's another one, and I'll quickly tell you this. You have to do counting. Okay, and you have to do counting like this: 1 1 2 1 1 2 3 2 1 1 2 3 4 3 2 1 1 2 3 4 5 4 3 2 1 1 2 3 4 5 6 5 4 3 2 1 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 6 5 4 3 2 1 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 6 7 5 4 3 2 1, and then 8 8 7 8 8 7 6 7 8 8 7 6 5 6 7 8, and so on. What happens is your mind gets totally into one focus thing, and all your other things they're distracted, they're strayed away, all other thoughts are gone. Now you're ready, 25 minutes concentrated study. Okay, and then don't, and even if you've finished your chapter or something before the Pomodoro, keep on that. It's a part of discipline, that revise it, answer some more questions on that, but keep onto that subject. Don't now distract yourself and say, okay, now history is over, let me get to English. No, don't do that. Right? And I said, after 4 Pomodoros, take a long break. Anything from 30 minutes to half an hour. Sorry, 15 minutes to half an hour. A few other things. Regular breaks, remember, assist assimilation, right? Reduce the impact of any internal and external interruptions on focus and flow. Now you're studying at home, there will be distractions. See how best you can create a distraction-free environment around you. It may not be easy, but please try to do the best that you can. Okay. Now, review and edit after a Pomodoro and make a record that how many hours you studied and give yourself marks on your attention quotient. How attentive were you? How focused were you? And write that down. Right? Now, this will help you review and say, is your concentration increasing, not increasing? And it makes you conscious, because I believe very strongly in something called time consciousness. Means I'm conscious that I'm investing my time and I must get the results. When I invest my time, I'm looking at a return. When I spend my time, I'm thinking it's an expense, it goes away. So your mind is very sensitive to the words you use. When you say spend, you'll take time as an expendable commodity. It'll go away, it'll diminish to zero, it'll vanish. When you say invest, you're looking for a return, right? And then imagine and realize that there are stages of planning, of tracking, of recording, of processing, and of visualizing the results that you're getting. And this helps you in overall assimilation and imbibing. It goes deep, embedded in your mind, and it stays longer. It has a longer recall value. Not only for your exams, even 10 years later, you'll remember what you studied, right? And I would, at the end of it, say that every subject, you should be able to do one sample question paper of that subject where you sit down for 3 hours and write it. There is no 5 minutes, there's no Pomodoro. You have to do it under exam conditions. Does he let you take a break in the exams? No. So if it's a 3 hours exam, then you have to write for 3 hours. And here, let me tell you a trick, and please write this down. Count your number of hours you studied by the number of hours you wrote and not the number of hours you read. I'm saying again, count your studies by the number of hours you wrote and not the number of hours you read. Why? Because it's a written exam and it's a board exam where the examiner does not know you. There's no sympathy factor. The examiner is not going to say that, oh, this guy is very sincere. Today he may have slipped up, but he knows his subject. I know. Give you benefit of doubt. No. Your only communication between you and the examiner is that piece of paper. So your handwriting will matter. And when I'm saying write down your question paper for 3 hours, it is building your writing muscles. It is building your writing muscles. That how can you write for 3 hours continuously without getting fatigued mentally and physically? That your fingers are not getting tired, your brain is not getting tired, and you are able to maintain the same handwriting, the same neatness for 3 hours. This comes by practice. Do one paper a week, and you've done 10 papers by the end of the thing. You may be able to do more if you get some more time to revise in the end, if you planned well. But this way, you'll not be doing all written papers in the end. You would have gone systematically. Okay. Now, before I forget, and I wanted to say in the end, but let me say right here, all these points I'm telling you are general guidelines. They are handrails. They're not handcuffs. Don't say that you have to stick to this. You have to apply them in a manner that they suit you. So modify them to according to your style, according to your conditions. And in your question answers, you can ask me. I'll tell you whether there are other options or not. Right? So this is where we come to an end of the module 3. I hope it was useful. And now we'll come to, in module 4, talking about the day of the exam. The day of the exam, those 3 hours in the exam, assuming it's a 3 hours exam. So wait for another 3 days to get back to module number 4, and that is coming to you soon. Thank you and bye.